What has Trump done in the last 10 days? Well, there are two things that I have for you: a slide deck that explains in detail, plus the reactions from the other side on some of the actions, and an accomplishment list given by Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary of the White House. Let's first take a look at the video, and then we will go over it line by line. Now, a small request to all of you to please like this video, and if you've not already subscribed to our channel, kindly subscribe to our channel. Here we go.
2 weeks in, and President Trump is already delivering big wins for the American people. Let's go through the facts. On the border, President Trump declared a national emergency, deployed the military, ended catch and release, and reinstated remain in Mexico. And already, illegal crossings are down 95%. We are resuming construction of the border wall, and Colombia's president is now offering his own plane for deportation of illegal Colombian immigrants. On the economy and energy, President Trump unleashed American energy, declared a national energy emergency, and killed Joe Biden's radical electric vehicle mandate. Wall Street is booming, AI investments skyrocketed to $500 billion, and there's $20 billion flowing into U.S. data centers across our country. President Trump is restoring law and order. He labeled the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, and he is deporting criminal illegal aliens, and he signed the Laken Riley Act into law. Draining the swamp, President Trump signed more than 45 executive orders. DEI has been purged from the government and our military, and lazy federal workers have been ordered back to the office. And when it comes to free speech and transparency, President Trump took 12 times more press questions than Joe Biden did in a week, reinstated 440 silenced journalists to the press room, and ended government censorship. Promises made, promises kept, and we're just getting started.
So that was Caroline Leavitt. Thank you, Caroline. And now let's start dissecting all these achievements. How many are actually achievements? How many are getting pushed back? What is possibly going to be the way out for some of these things? I'm going to show you a slide deck now. Here we go. The White House shared a video. You just saw that, 90 seconds long. Now, the National Emergencies Act to the crisis. What has happened? Well, from there on, he has deployed troops. About 10,000 American troops are actually deployed now along the border to make sure that there are no intrusions. And as Caroline said, 95%. It's down by 95%. Still 5% is coming in. Not only that, yesterday or day before yesterday, Mexico agreed to put 10,000 of its own army people at its border to try and control the cartels. The cartels have, of course, been designated as terror organizations, and this would actually put the onus on the Mexican military first to kind of manage them, and then perhaps United States will still be able to tackle it as a second line of defense. So that's a good thing there. Now, the other thing about catch and release is that if illegals came into the United States, they were catching them, logging them, and then they were releasing them into the United States. Now that has changed. They have to stay inside Mexico before they can even enter, which means anybody who's allowed to enter essentially means that person is legal. So this is a big hole that the Biden administration created that has been filled. But it'll take some time before we know how efficient it is. What is the remain in Mexico policy? Now, let's say there are people who are not from Mexico who are seeking asylum in the United States. These people have to apply for asylum not in the US but in Mexico to get into the US. That is what is remain in Mexico means. They are not being allowed to come all the way up to the border of United States, because then it is easy to sneak in. So this is another thing that the Trump V1 had it in place, and Biden just broke it open. I mean, there is so much disaster that these guys have created. I tell you, Biden is probably going to be in line for the worst US president ever. So let's wait and see how that goes. Trump administration has resumed construction of the US-Mexico border wall. Remember, I told you about how the Biden administration sold the material that was bought to build the wall for cents on the dollar to the very people from whom Trump V1 had bought all these iron stuff. somebody has made money hand over fist, because the same entity is going to turn around and sell it again for the market price back to Trump V2. I mean, this is where waste comes in. I hope they find a way to curb this and say, listen, you already gave it to us once, we already paid you for it, just leave it here and go. I hope. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Colombia's president has offered government planes for deportation. In fact, 2 or 3 planes came and picked up the Colombian detainees. Now, as far as the detainees is concerned, I'm going to give you a separate update on that one. Just give me a few minutes. Let me go through the other points, and then I'll give you, because Guantanamo Bay is taking people now. El Salvador is taking people now, and the first plane of 205 illegal immigrants from India has actually landed in Amritsar. So a lot of things are happening as far as just deporting illegals go. As far as Wall Street is concerned, I have a feeling that that may not stay true for long. There is a correction coming. I'm 100% sure of it. I wouldn't say 100%, but very, very sure of it, because you just have to look at some of the other people that are coming, because the earnings ratios don't make sense at all. Especially in the Magnificent 7 stocks, I am very skeptical. There is a correction coming right now. Yes, Wall Street is doing okay, but we don't know what's going to happen. I'm also hearing that there's going to be a big swing in Bitcoin prices. I don't know why, but well, we'll have to wait and see. Trump has announced a $20 billion investment in data centers. Again, this is a way to try and curb the data from leaving the shores of the United States. Remember, we talked about how there are ET call home kind of chips that the Chinese server companies had put, and that would basically leak data back to China. That was also the reason why TikTok was banned for a few days. Now, in law and order, a lot of things are happening here. Drug cartels have been designated as terror organizations, which gives extra powers for the United States military to carry out operations. I'm told that they are now actually, looking and monitoring. See, there is a peninsula in Mexico called as the Baja Peninsula. There is California. Below that, there is what is called as Baja California, and it goes and becomes a tip, which is where Cabo San Lucas is. And this whole area is where much of the activity on the West Coast, as far as smuggling is concerned, happens. And that part now, the United States is actually running a lot of sorties to try and smoke it out even before they start thinking of how to get the drugs across. This is essentially a big operation. We have to wait and see. These are all moves, and there'll be some counter moves. For example, China has said that they are going to levy tariffs on some goods from the United States. This game is going to go on until they sit down and negotiate this thing. The other huge thing, sanctuary cities, whatever things that they enjoyed, all that is gone. They are going to essentially have to comply with the federal law, especially in counter narcotics investigation, in terms of catching illegals and many other such things, with the sanctuary cities such as San Francisco, Chicago, New York City. I can go on. Seattle. All these people used to brag that illegals have a free reign in our city. All that stuff is going to be clogged. In fact, there are videos of clean streets in downtown Manhattan, a site that was not there for the last 3 or 4 years. So at least now Manhattaners are breathing a sigh of relief. Deporting illegal immigrants, like I said, there are 30,000 are going to be sent to El Salvador. Guantanamo Bay has, I'm told, 45,000 room for 45,000. So the numbers are huge, and these are all the most deadly criminals. These are not the normal illegal immigrants, but that will also start. They probably will be marched out to the border and told to go back home. That is my guess. And also, like you saw that in the case of India, they are putting them on a flight. Why is the United States spending money to put them back on flight? Somebody is asking that question. I'll give you the answer. To keep them in a prison, assuming that you've caught them, to keep them in a prison, it costs an average of $46,000 a year in the United States. To try and save on that, the United States has entered into an agreement with El Salvador so that they will pay $10,000 per criminal to put him in the jail in El Salvador, and in exchange they save some money. And these people are going to be there for life. I've already shown you a video on how things are in El Salvador. This is a link from CNN. I'm going to just play 30 seconds of that so you can take a look on how a prison in El Salvador looks like.
All right, we're gonna go in here.
Even as I'm stepping through these doors,
En la misma celda.
I don't fully grasp what we're about to walk into. Suddenly, you're hit with the intense gaze of dozens locking onto you. These men described as the worst of the worst, tattooed with reminders of El Salvador's dark past. It's tense and uncomfortable, but here, officials say comfort isn't meant to exist.
There's no mattresses, there's no sheets. You've got a toilet over here for them to go to the bathroom. You've got this basin here that they use to bathe themselves. And then you can see there's a barrel of water that they can drink from.
This is a rare look inside El Salvador's terrorism confinement center, known as 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗏.
So you get an idea. I have the link in the reference link section. You can see that. And this is a 7-minute long video from CNN. Thank you, CNN, for use of this video. You can see the entire thing. Now let's get back to our slide deck. So this is where the deportees in El Salvador are going to be, but there are also deportees being repatriated to other countries: Guatemala, Colombia, El Salvador, and Venezuela. Venezuela was the biggest in terms of contributor of illegals. They are also now accepting illegal immigrants. Flights are flying out. These are the worst of the worst. So they probably will be lodged back in jails in the respective countries. But the most important thing that US needs to make sure is right near the Panama Canal, they need to start stopping people from coming across. That's where I think the big lock should be, rather than coming up all the way through all these jungles and then coming to Mexico and then disappearing amongst the the rather large border. I think they should be caught near Panama, because that is where the constriction is. Well, we'll see how that goes. This is a plan for the future, how this is going to be played out. Law and order. What is 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗏 Act? Remember I told you about 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗏? This is a girl, 20-year nursing assistant student who was going jogging in a park in Atlanta, Georgia, and she was stalked, she was raped, and then she was killed by an illegal immigrant who was let off after doing, I think 2 or 3 times he had committed some crime. And that is what 𝗥𝗘𝗙𝗏 does. It gives sweeping powers. Whenever you catch an illegal immigrant committing any kind of crime, that is going to be huge. The exact wording is that mandates the detention of undocumented immigrants charged with theft-related crimes and allows state attorneys general to sue the federal government if they believe their states have been harmed by its failure to enforce immigration laws. Number of executive orders signed, 45, although I think the number could be more. This is what she has said, and I'm going to go with that. DEI, USAID, and also requirement that all federal employees show up to work. There is a big suspicion in the Trump administration that many people who are supposed to be federal employees are actually working 2 jobs, where one job is this federal job and the other one is their regular job. They were just getting a fat check at the end of the month. That stuff is going to get reconciled very fast. In fact, in the next couple of days, we'll know how many are still left standing. That's something that I'm really looking forward to. And number of times President has addressed the media is 12 times more in 1 week than Joe Biden did in this last 2 years of his presidency. And this is unprecedented. I mean, these are all facts. I'm not buffing up anything. I'm not trying to put a sugar coating on anything. These are all things that you can see. In fact, the first day of office, he was holding a press conference and he was signing executive orders. He was explaining what was it that he was signing. I mean, very, very impressive, I should say. Well, there are 440 previously silenced journalists who have now got access back into the White House. In fact, I have also applied for it. I don't know if I'm going to be lucky or not. Let's wait and see. What was government censorship? Remember that this started leaking out after Elon Musk purchased Twitter. Then it was still Twitter. Then they started revealing all the conversations about how Biden administration is essentially putting a lid on who should be up and who should be down. Unfortunately, even now, accounts like mine continue to be shadow banned. I don't know when Elon Musk is going to come through with his promise. He said at the very beginning that he's going to make a tool available from Twitter that would, essentially be run by anybody with a Twitter account. So you can find out why you were shadow banned, so that you have a way to remedy your problem. I mean, if you look at my tweets, right, my tweets are just basically regarding either a PGurus.com article or a PGurus video. There is no opinion that I'm sharing. Occasionally I'll retweet something, but that's it. Then why am I being shadow banned? Just look at the follower count that I've had over the last 5 years. Pitiable, pathetic. I don't know why this is not being addressed, because Elon Musk said that he is going to fix it. That's why I'm drawing his attention to it. I hope he does it, and does it soon. That's all I have. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. I'll see you soon. Namaskar.